Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, brought to you by Join Cycling, the number one adaptive training platform for your cycling goals. And this is the INEOS Grenadiers 2025 preview. We will answer conclusively, Benji, the question that's been answered or asked a million times this season. What's going on at the INEOS Grenadiers? It's not that complicated. We're going to get into their 2024 season review at their transfers, which we've already talked about a little bit, including Tom Pidcock's exodus, and now, and then we'll preview their 2025 season. Thankfully, Geraint Thomas INEOS posted a YouTube video with some of their schedule this morning. Very, very kind of them. But what's their 2024 in review? Oh no, actually, how are you, Benji? Maybe let the people know how you are.
I'm not feeling too good right now. So about a week ago, I had a trip to Tenerife to climb a volcano, to climb Mount Teide. And I came back from that trip, having climbed the mountain. I won't tell you whether I made it to the top or not. That's a video that will come on YouTube eventually. But ever since I came home, I've basically been on the couch and in bed for like 6 days now. I am completely broken. I sleep about 3-4 hours per night and I can barely speak, but enough to do a podcast. So we're here. We're going to do the INEOS preview and I can't wait to get into it because I've been able to do nothing for 6 days. I am bored. And the Netflix sucks today. Like, nothing good comes out anymore. So I have to do something with my life, and that's why we're here. And yeah, I'm on the mend a little bit. So in 2 days, I reckon I'm Gucci. But for now, let's talk about INEOS because, yeah, my state isn't great, but INEOS is neither. 14 victories in 2024, 6 World Tour victories, 2 Grand Tour victories. That's not INEOS numbers. That's like Intermarché numbers. What do you think?
Yeah, you're right. Just the quantity of victories is way lower, and that's the problem with no sprinter. Like they had Viviani. Well, they have Viviani, but he's just not a. He's no good. And then he also had the Olympic year, and so and you can't say that they didn't. They also dialed back their minor calendar, so that's also a factor. They did maybe the narrowest calendar of any of the big team or any team almost in World Tour.
Yeah.
That's no excuse, but that's a partial explanation. Maybe you do a few more Mickey Mouse races, and you're at 20 wins, but that a good season does not make. So yeah, it was tough in terms of Grand Tour results. Geraint Thomas delivered once again. Once again, he delivered. Whether it's spectacular or not, it doesn't matter. Especially for marketing wise, you know. He's a big name and he's still getting podiums in Grand Tours that he targets. Third in the Giro. The Tour de France was a bit of a... Yeah, Carlos faded. He really wasn't competitive, I would say, for... Yeah, he just didn't look near the podium. Of course, no one expects him to beat Poggi and Jonas, but looked almost further away from the podium than in 2023. And then the Vuelta, Carlos was there again. The problem is the GC depth, Benji.
Yeah. It's like
where is it?
It's, firstly, when it comes to Geraint Thomas, he can podium a Grand Tour. I reckon even in 2025, I still have to believe that if you send him to the right schedule, that he can still podium a Grand Tour in 2025. When it comes to Bernal, we haven't seen Bernal at the results level that he was before his crash. Whether he's at his actual physical level from before the crash, I don't necessarily know, but he was a little bit more consistent this year, I'd say, when it comes to 1 week races. Because he got a podium at the Catalunya GC and 4 for Tour de Suisse, and I was like, okay, there's a bit of a Bernal back there. And I loved seeing that. But that's not enough for him to go to a Grand Tour and to expect a podium ability there. When it comes to Carlos, you said it. The factor is, he's no Pogacar or Vingegaard, so what you aim to do with Rodriguez is to be as close as possible to podium in the Tour de France because he's your best option to do it on paper. That's what we would have said last year. But this year he was further away from that, like you said. So I still believe that Rodriguez can do better than he did this year. So I think that's one thing. I think that Thomas can still podium a Grand Tour next year. That's another thing. I don't necessarily believe Bernal can podium a Grand Tour. we haven't seen the growth in Arensman that I hope to see for him to be able to step up in a Grand Tour and get those results that Rodriguez is now getting. That's not really visible for me. He's not that GC rider that they initially might have hoped for him to be. Then the fact that they also have a rider like Laurens Plus also low-key going for a GC in a Grand Tour, that also is not the rider that is suddenly going to top 5 a Grand Tour either. So the simple first fact is, Pidcock did not become the GC rider that they might have hoped for him to be at this team. And on top of that, they don't have any of the big four when it comes to GC. So they're fighting against the other teams, the non-Visma Leasebike, the non-UAE Team Emirates, and the non-Bora for the results that follow after that. No?
That's the problem. It's like, where is the, do you believe, Benji, is Arensman any closer after 2025 to being a Grand Tour podium contender for 2020? Sorry, after 2024? What you saw from Arensman compared to 2023,
No.
Are you more confident than he can podium in 2025?
No. Less,
So that's
actually.
Yeah, maybe
Kind of like
less. Whereas,
Sivakov.
yeah, it's like the more years you see them go P5 to P10, it's the more years that's who you are. Now, Arensman does have the dialed-in TT, so it could be, but yeah, that's how it looks at the moment. Do we go through Bernal? That's again, it's not their fault, but I thought he actually looked really, really good. Have we done the classics?
We haven't done the classics. We also haven't done every single one of the 1 week races. I think it's important to say that I think they were relatively solid in terms of top 5ing World Tour 1 week races. And they did win that Roman with Carlos Rodriguez, which that matters. And these are the results that you need to be able to compete for the spots that they want to compete in. Just to set the bar here, UAE Team Emirates and Visma Leasebike are the top 2 teams in the world in terms of UCI World Tour ranking, whatever. Behind that, you've got the likes of Bora, the likes of Little Trek, the likes of INEOS. Is there anyone else in that top 5?
No, I would say that's the tier. There's a third tier of teams, which is Bora, INEOS, Little, maybe Decathlon.
Yeah.
Definitely with O'Connor. Yeah, with O'Connor. Yes, with Decathlon.
With O'Connor, yes. But on the long term,
24.
not necessarily in my head.
Yeah, but 24 they were. But INEOS, yeah, they weren't that far away on points, Benji, which is a measurement not of wins, but literally of racing consistency at a top level.
Yes, but I feel like we're seeing the trend that INEOS is getting lower and lower in that top 5 of teams in that ranking because Little Trek has passed them. And I think Bora is about to pass them in the 3-year ranking next year, perhaps. It's like, it could happen, in my opinion. And then they would be 5th at the end of the 3-year ranking of those 5 teams, Which, if you're INEOS, you're fighting for that 3rd spot.
Just looking at where Red Bull are. Yeah, it's possible. It's possible the Red Bull do because they're 3,000 points behind me in 5th or 6th. But yeah, you want to stay there. I think the points really do show when you look at their 2024 points. It's like, actually, okay, wins-wise, they really like the finishes.
Yeah.
But it's not like they were that far behind Red Bull or Trek either. And so sometimes I felt like the discourse went a little bit too far. It's what you said, Benji, about trajectory, driving the narrative. And it's like that meme with the 2 babies in the pool and one's holding up Decathlon. It's like, oh, you want a stage of Circuit Pays de Loire, Normandie, Fornardèche, Tour, Paris, Camembert, Brie, 2.1 against some university students, beautiful. And then INEOS win Romandy, and it's like they're the drowning kid in the pool. Like, I don't care.
Very quickly, 1-day races, Pidcock won Amstel, 4th in Strade. Sheffield did a 6th position in RVV, and Tarling showed some promise in Dwars of Vlaanderen and RVV. That's the most I can remember when it comes to 1-day races from this team. So a bit bleak outside of that Amstel Gold Race, but promising results for both Sheffield and Tarling for the future, which will matter with Pivcock leaving, with Nervaez leaving, and so forth. Now, we've gone through over these results. We've spoken about your drowning babies, but how important should we value Olympics, track gold medals, whatever?
No, I don't care.
I don't care either, but...
No, sorry, Olympic road race and Olympic TT matters, for sure.
Yeah,
sorry, to clarify,
of course.
road
But
Olympics matters, yes.
other disciplines.
I mean, do you
Because
watch
the
the
team
surfing?
must, the sponsor must somewhat care, no?
Of course. Well, maybe they did. Maybe there was definitely agreements with riders or understandings that they would get the freedom to go for Olympics, like Viviani and Ganna on the track. But whether that's the case in the future, I don't know. Maybe they're like, it's not worth it to focus on it that much. So I would say it was not the season they wanted with the number of wins. I think the first half of the season was pretty solid with Johnny Narvaez and Rodriguez, but I feel like, just Ganna and Pidcock, just probably two of their biggest paid riders, they just don't provide enough volume of wins.
Yeah.
They just don't win enough.
At least Pidcock got Amstel.
Yeah.
Like, I think Ganna might have won an ITT at the Vuelta, if my memory serves me right. But outside of that,
he beat Poggi in the flatter. Giro TT.
Giro TT, yes. But outside of that, it's not much to work with here when it comes to Ganna. So you expect significantly more when it comes to Ganna, and also the fact that because he puts aside one-day races for his objectives off the road, that significantly impacts the ability of this team to also perform on the road, no? Because otherwise, this was the guy that was fighting for top 5 at MSR last year. That has been a factor in Roubaix in the past. And did he even ride those races this year?
No, MSR he was there. He had a mech. MSI he was there.
Okay. Fair.
Roubaix he didn't, because I think he didn't want to get injured before the Olympics. But did he do? I'm trying to look at his program.
Nothing else.
What did he do? He did 70 race days, Benji. It's not like he did the 40 race days. He did 70 race days.
Yeah, but then he loses a prologue at Austria. Fair. It had 100 corners, and it was very short.
And Nicholas Behrens was there.
Well, did Nicholas Behrens win?
No, Ganna beat him as well. There was that one, Cameron Rogers or Cameron Scott?
Cameron Rogers.
He did 70 race days, so it's not like he did. I mean, I personally find it very strange that he DNS the day before the Renewy Tour ITT, and then 3 weeks later he's second at World's ITT. Now maybe he was sick, but that is strange. So there's a few funny things, but he did race. Maybe too much at the start of the year. Like TDU, I think he went to TDU because there was tracks. There's a track event down in Australia. That's why Tarling was there. So
why would you want to go there, huh?
Well, yeah, exactly. It's a bit of a teaser, Benji. But yeah, they need more out of him. I want to have a philosophical discussion with you, Benji. So let's round it off. It's not a good year. INEOS 30. I think they averaged 37 wins more or less the last 3 years. Just wins, not World Tour. Now, me and you are always talking about World Tour wins.
Yeah.
Where we always making fun of these Mickey Mouse races. But Trek also won a lot this year. Not always at World Tour level. They were nowhere on GC in the big races except for Skelmo's a 5th in the Vuelta. INEOS were better in the Grand Tours in GC than Trek. Doesn't winning a lot just actually, it is a good thing? Doesn't matter the level.
You know why? Because it shows the depth of the squad and the ability of your second tier, third tier riders to still win. Like, an example is an Axel Zangler type, an Axel Laurence, which, spoilers, is going to INEOS next season.
Yeah.
A rider like that will add on to the depth of the team and on paper, add on to the victories. Thibonnet is on Little Trek. He's not riding the top races. He's riding, in our words, Mickey Mouse races. They're still valid, important races, but they're not the Flesh Wallons of the world. They're not the maybe using Flesh Wallon in that example was not the wisest wording. But
Flesh a big race.
Yeah, fairly big race. You're right. But he's a rider that, between quotes, stat pads little track a little bit. Mes Pedersen and Jonathan Milan being sent to Deutschland Tour also kind of stat pads as well. But having riders like that brings a lot more victories than the type of riders that INEOS has. GC riders like Benel and so forth, those aren't victors. Those aren't winner types. They are not going to win eight races per season. And that accounts for a lot of riders. And having a sprinter like Viviani, I'm sorry, but the guy sprints backwards right now. So that ain't going to work either. So it's about, first of all, trying to keep that level at the top and hoping that at one point in the next couple of years, you can find a way to find your way into a competitive GC rider, whether that's signing someone or building someone, combined with deepening your team, right? Those are the two goals, right?
Yeah, you have to. I think that's a good point, is that while GC guys are developing or coming back from injury, it takes the pressure off if you have some sprinters or punchy guys padding the stats, taking you up to 25, 30 wins a year. Yeah, the notorious 10 wins a year Aaron Baru. Because the GC guys, there's only four GC guys that win every year over 5 or 6 races a year. Poggi, Jonas, Remco, Roglic. GC guys just do not win. Even Schelmoser with a nasty kick. How many races did he win this year? He's fast. Like, he won one race this year, not including Natty Champs. So it's just, that's the nature of cycling. But before we get into looking towards the future, which we've already done a little bit, talk about their transfers, wouldn't our show partner Join Cycling? It's a great time to talk about dysfunction. If you're sick, like Mr. Naesen across from me, if you fell down playing tennis and nearly broke your hip and you're worried about it, like someone else on this podcast today, and you can't ride, it's not Luke. It's not Luke. It's not Benji because he was in sick, and it's not Luke. So you do the maths. Join Cycling has functionality in it where you can say, I'm sick or I'm injured, schedule how many days you're going to be off, and the plan adapts automatically within 5 seconds to tell you, and even can give you a path to recovery. Then when you're coming back, you can even put in how fatigued or rested or sore you are. 2 different inputs on a daily basis, being your fatigue and your muscular soreness. And that's one of the best parts about Join, is that nothing's going to go smoothly 365 days a year. We're not professional athletes. Even if you were a professional athlete, nothing is going to go smoothly 365 days a year. But it's like having a 24/7, 365 coach at your beck and call to adapt to. For you at your hip, at your hip, to adapt to what's going on in your life. It could just be your time availability around the Christmas period if you got things going on now. So go and check out Join Cycling. If you haven't tried it out yet, give yourself a Christmas present. It's, I think, one of the best value for money purchases if you're cycling that you can make investing in yourself. So why not maybe tell someone else to give it to you for Christmas? So thanks. I would also like to say thanks to Join for their support for us throughout the year. It's been a fantastic year. We've loved having them as a show partner. And that's the end of the read, Benji. When are you back, do you reckon?
What do you mean? When am I back? From the health issues that I'm having. I'm hoping in a few days. I was supposed to attack my Alpe d'Huez Zwift PR this week, but I feel like I'm losing watts with every cuff that I do. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. I think I'll give myself a few weeks to get back to the confidence that I need to try something. But I'm way more intrigued in this tennis hip story, because I heard rumors that there is a video somewhere of you crashing down and hurting.
It's so bad.
Hashtag release the tennis cut. Hashtag release the tennis cut. Hashtag release the tennis cut. Everybody in the comment section. I need to see it.
I was playing with my brother, but no, he hit a ball out, and then I jumped over a wall, and then when I jumped down, I jumped backwards and didn't realize how far it was, and fell down. And it doesn't even look bad. I landed on. It's the right hip I've crashed on a million times. I already had problems with it because I crashed on it so much. And it's like the vegan cyclist when he crashed and broke his hip right in a car park doing a skid on the bike. It's like that. It's so. I'm like, it's just proof that I'm over the hill and washed up. Even playing my brother, who's 5 years younger than me, I was like, normally I could beat him in tennis or easily. I was like, fuck. I think he's got a step on me now.
Well, that's what age does to you, my friend.
It's all over. Not for G though. He just keeps playing Grand Tours.
Yeah.
Okay, transfers for INEOS. Tom Pidcock, we've discussed at length. He's leaving INEOS, but we can just say that, of course, they lose a fair amount of points and they lose a real figurehead leader that you can go to major one-day races, Strada, Sanremo, etc., and say, this is our leader, this is the guy going for the podium.
Yeah.
They lose that, and you can't get that on the market. Well, actually, they could have. There was one guy. But who else is out, Benji? Viviani, of course, is fine. Leo Hayter has sort of taken a step back from the sport for now.
Yeah.
Cameron Worth seems to be out. Luke Rowe retired after his concussion.
Narvaez to UAE Team Emirates because he beat Pogacar, so they had to buy him. No, it's UCI points related in my opinion. Even Hayter took a quick step. I don't know if you said it already. Luke Rowe retiring. Anyway, that's the list. But like, also want to make it clear, Cameron Worth currently not set to be extended, but we don't know that yet because we had some changes today in the whole announcement of INEOS, or I don't know whether it was announced today or not. But a while back, we heard that INEOS would be having a bit of a development program in 2025. Then eventually it came out that Lotto Kernhaus, which is a German continental team, would act as the development team for INEOS, the World Tour team, in the future. So as a U23 team, but a separate one. So it's not called like INEOS development team. It's called Lotto Kernhaus, I think PH Bank or something. But that team is now going to act as like the satellite team where INEOS can store riders that might not be ready for the World Tour story and use that as the development pipeline. Now, first things first, I think it's a bit of a weird situation if you sign for INEOS and suddenly you're riding for Lotto Kernhaus, a continental team in Germany. Because that's going to be the situation that Theodor Storm and Peter Uxenberg, the two Danish riders that signed for INEOS, those riders are going to be at Lotto Kernhaus next year instead of INEOS, but they're there because of INEOS. So it's probably a long-term plan to then move back to INEOS when they're ready. But, question. Firstly, what do you think of the setup of it being another team? We also saw something similar in Jaco and Axenhagen's Berman, but also next to that, those two riders going to Lotto Kernhaus and the World Tour team now being 27 riders. Does that allow for potentially an extra signing this year?
It does. It means they have 2 or 3 spots available, 3 spots maybe. So, but I'm not sure who they're going to sign. I guess they could get they might be looking.
Not with that hip.
Not with this hip. I guess they could get a sprinter, but it's like which sprinter's available, because if they're not extending Viviani, and then there's Laurence is not a bunch sprinter. He's maybe comes third in Catalonia, maybe wins the uphill finish in Catalonia, Saint Feliu stage 1. He's not a bunch sprinter. So they need a sprinter, so maybe that's where they're going. I don't know how it works. Luke will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe, Benji, because it's a different team, Lotto Kernhaus, it means that the 2 riders or the riders on there cannot race in the non-World Tour races with INEOS.
I think so too, but I don't know.
Whereas Hagen's Berman, that was the case last year, but that has now been brought under the license of Jaco this year for 25, and so now Hagen's Berman and Jaco can ride together, which is a really important part of the Devo team. The under-23 team. So, did you mention... Oh, yeah, Uxenberg Hansen, he had the Ratescom. That's why they signed him, I think.
Correct. He had the Ratescom.
I think they're good to let Narvaez go. I wouldn't match what UAE paid... Yeah.
Wrong Danish team. Sorry.
I wouldn't match what UAE paid Narvaez.
Same. I think...
He doesn't win much. He has a big flash. He's
Yeah.
inconsistent.
I agree. Like, yes, he's a valuable rider, but at the end of the day, you'd hope that by signing Laurence, you sign a rider that can also get those flashes. To be honest, like, he's what you want. It's not the same kind of rider, but it's like, it's not very far off either. As in, Laurence is quite punchy, can climb a little better than you'd expect, has a good sprint for a puncher, I would say. Like, versatile sprinter slightly, more punchy type is how I classify Laurence myself. Like, in between the two. So I think he's a winner type. And if his ceiling is as high as Narvaez in terms of what he can potentially reach, then that is what you'd hope Laurence could become, no? And you're paying a lot less than UAE is paying for Narvaez.
Narvaez won one World Tour race in the last 4 seasons.
Yeah.
So, which is crazy when you see his level to beat Poggi on the climb.
Yeah.
So how? How did you only win one? No, he won another Giro stage in 2020. So he won 2 World Tour races in 5 years. Now, admittedly, the one in this year was big, but it's like, how have you not won more?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you just can't keep taking that risk, paying what's going to be heavy 7 figures for that inconsistency.
Yeah.
And Ethan Hayter, they had to let go, obviously. It just wasn't working. So the incomings, Benji.
Yes.
Victor Langolotti from Burgos Bache. He's the Monegasque former FIFA addict. People don't understand. People are like, why are they signing Langolotti? I like Langolotti. Super high watts per kilo for 10, 15 minutes, maybe 5 to 15 minutes. Late bloomer, I think worth taking a punt on and seeing what he can do because he doesn't cost a bomb.
Super expensive. Yeah. Exactly.
This is his opportunity to step up to World Tour. And we saw, Pelayo Sanchez stepped up from Burgos to Movistar. Look at him this year. Yep. So it's don't be surprised to see Langolotti going really, really well next year. Also, Samuel Watson from Groupama FDJ. He stepped off everybody in a Tour de Wallonie uphill finish. He's like what is he, 22, Benji?
I feel like he's been around for a long time, but he's still super young. I'm going for 23. Let me take it.
23.
There you go. Yes, he had that result in Tour de Wallonie, but I also feel like I was maybe expecting him to be at that level consistently by this point in his career based on what he had in the past, Because, I swear this guy came to the forefront, was it in a race Cavendish might have won? In 2-3 years ago?
British Natty Champs. When Cav won British Natty Champs.
He was second? Is that correct?
That was a great race. That's one of the better one-day races I watched. That was an incredible race. It was the 2022 Natty Champs in Castle Douglas. That was a fantastic edition.
Yeah, and ever since that moment, I was hoping for this guy to really step up, and I feel like he's finally starting to hit that in flashes. Now I want to see consistency, and I expect that to be more possible on this team, to be honest. So I think this is a good transfer. Doesn't cost a lot of money. Adds to a potential candidate for the Cobble team, in my opinion, the Classics team. Which, Pidcock leaving, it hits that. Narvaez leaving, it reduces that as well. So we're looking at Magnus Sheffield. We're looking at Josh Starling, together with the likes of Watson, maybe the likes of Laurence for certain races as well. I still think they've got a solid team for those Classics with opportunities, but they're not a top 4 team,
Yeah, no way. Lucas Hamilton comes in from Jaco Lula. He's had a disappointing couple of years, or 3 years rather, so that's on a 1-year deal. I think this is make it or break it to stay in World Tour. He's 28, was good in Tirreno in 2020. It just hasn't worked out. That was a bit of a strange one for me. I didn't. Yeah, they just didn't need. They don't need a climber that doesn't win. But anyway, Bob Jungels, they signed from Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe as a domestique. I also didn't like it, or don't like it, because it's not cheap. He won a tour stage in 2022. That's not that far in the past. And he's not a prolific winner, and they don't have that GC man. And also in the classics, yeah, he's just not been that good. And it's not like he's been on a bad team like to Red Bull.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So yeah, Jungels are, I think, not the best value
also,
for money signing.
You've pointed at the right direction already. Like the fact that Jungels is the kind of rider where he's going to be quite expensive, and he's kind of filling a role where there's a lot of riders in that kind of role potentially at this team, where you've got quite a bit of domestiques in Grand Tours, which that's what he's going to be in my opinion. He's shown flashes in cobble race in the past, one cobble race in the past, but I don't expect that to be the thing that they sign him for. So I just see him as like an expensive medium mountain domestique right now. And when it comes to Jungels, I would have rather have them spend money on elsewhere, just elsewhere. Yeah,
that's
elsewhere,
the thing.
on winning riders.
Branner Rivera a better stage race domestique than Jungels? I think he's pretty close. Maybe actually Rivera might be better across the year. And Swiss, he was good, and he costs less. And it's not that Jungels is a bad rider. It's that you don't need him. You have Vos, you have Rivera, you have these riders, and what you need is a sprinter. And so if signing Jungels means you don't get Caden Groves, then that's why we don't like it. Well, I don't like it. My impressions... Sorry, go on, Benji.
Is that the same amount of money you're talking about? Because Jungels, I would argue, is more expensive.
Nah, Groves has been more. He won 1 million Grand Tours. I mean, unless the market is completely... I mean, in which case I need to get fired. If Groves was free...
You're probably right, but... I just feel like I probably underrate sprinters a little bit, but he's not just a sprinter, Groves. He's a versatile sprinter. And that's where it changes it.
But Alpecin kept him. And that to me suggests that, yeah... I mean, that was strange in itself, the way that happened. But yeah, I don't think the money would be that different. Like, no way someone paid Groves 2 million, right? So
no,
sprinters just get underrated for what they bring to the table in W's. But yeah. Okay, so I think the overall impressions on the transfers is that there's a couple of wins going out. Actually, yeah, points-wise, there's no way. I really, really don't expect these riders to replace the points of Johnny Narvaez and Pidcock. None of these riders are as good as Narvaez or Pidcock.
I don't see that either. But also, when they signed these riders, they also didn't expect necessarily to have to replace Pidcock already? Or...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, because, signings are done early in the season, right? This is not done like in October or something. In October,
Axel
obviously,
Laurence is being signed in March or something.
Yeah. Now, the question is there still... Well, let me look at it from this way. First of all, first impression on the transfers, I'm not really blown away by the transfers, but I see value in Laurence and in Watson, and I see a fun gamble in Langelotti, which I am curious about. That's my overall view there. But does Pidcock leaving the team, which was on quite a bit of money, let's be honest about it, does that open up possibilities for... One, we've spoken about Remco Evenepoel potentially leaving Quickstep next year. We've mentioned Bora as the perfect candidate for that, but maybe INEOS with a lot of money, since Pidcock has left, is a new candidate in that regard. Or secondly, is there anyone that's out of contract next year that you see INEOS signing instead? For example, let's say all the chairs go around. We see Remco going to Bora next year. We see Roglic going to INEOS next year. Is that a possibility?
I mean, yeah, it's a possibility. I wouldn't say Roglic should be... I mean, he'd be solving the wins, but yeah, there's... I wouldn't do that
if you're Roglic, you'd rather go for like a 5 million contract on a French team then, no?
Then you go to the XTS Astana and just set yourself up for forever. Yeah, who's like... There's Enric Mas. Is that the answer? Probably not. There's Mikel Landa. There's Adam Yates. They already tried that. David Gaudu.
Melir?
I would just sign Melir, honestly. Just sign Melir and just win like 15 races, and then every time people write an article saying what's going on at INEOS, the next day Melir wins, and it feels a lot better. So it's
That's
true.
a possibility.
It's true. People are not going to write those articles every day if you're winning every week, even if
What's the
you're not winning the
chance
tour.
they sign a rider like Matthews instead?
No, he's extending a Jayco.
Okay.
Uh,
At the end of next year, I mean.
End of 25.
Yeah.
No, he's negotiating an extension with Jayco now, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, they got to get a sprinter, I think. Okay. I looked at that list, Benji, and yeah, I think it's pretty much if they don't get Remco, they have to get Remco. They gotta offer him whatever he wants, and that's gonna be difficult when Bora have a free spot if they can swap Roglic for a Remco. Also, there's the bike
Wilco.
brand. Wilco, yeah, I mean Wilco's so
their
good.
wins.
The Pinarello contract does expire at the end of 25, so that also allows them to get Remco because Spesh can come over with Remco to INEOS. So in that way, it is possible. Okay, what's their classics team, Benji? For the cobbles.
So Magnus Sheffield, Joshua Tarling. Those are the two head names that come to mind immediately. I'd say Ganna for Mazar, Roubaix, and so forth, and even for a lot of the classics in general.
Can Wevelgem.
Yeah, exactly. Even Kuurne and so forth. Milgreman. Next to that, Watson. I'd put Laurence in a bunch of them. Not every single one, maybe, but... What's right?
Hajduk is a domestique.
Yes, correct. And then I've lost it. Then I've lost all the names in my head. So that's
7. That's 7. So you've filled out a team there, no problem. Ben Turner, I'm not sure if you mentioned. There's also Connor Swift. So they got a good roster of 9 or 10 classics riders. I think Geraint Thomas announced his schedule. There's no classics on there. So that suggests to me that Thomas might do a 2026 season, Benji.
Ooh.
Thomas is going to do Roubaix once again before he retires.
Like Wiggins.
Yeah.
Wiggins did that
if he's not doing it this year. Yeah. And if Thomas is not doing it classics this year, that suggests to me he might do it in 26. Okay, so that's their classics team. I would say it's pretty good. There's also Kwiatkowski, of course, who is he didn't do any of the Cobble Classics this year. Okay, and now their Giro team. Who would you send to the Giro?
Ooh. Well, we still don't know a fucking parkour for this race, by the way. I heard the Vuelta parkour was announced today. I have no clue what it's like. I have not been able to take a look at it yet, I'm afraid.
Uphill finish.
But when it comes to names that immediately come to mind when it comes to this team is likes of Arensman, of course, you know? Because like if there's a bit of time trolling in there, you shove him in there. But I'd say what comes to mind in terms of Tour de France is Rodriguez immediately. I would just send Thomas to the Giro again, but you've got the Thomas schedule in front of you. What does it say?
Well, no, I wanted to do it. I wanted to do it like we decide their schedule because I actually don't like reacting on their schedule. We should decide.
I would send G to the Giro, but I'd love to know now, after saying that, where he will go.
Okay, he's doing TDU, Algarve, Tirreno /
Don't mention
Catalunya.
TDU as if it's as important as a Grand Tour.
Well, it's starting there. And then maybe another stage race, and then the Tour de France.
No Giro.
So, yeah. No Giro.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I think he wants to do the Tour, but really he should do the Giro, of course.
I think so too.
Because Carlos Rodriguez is also going to do Tour Vuelta. So then you're putting your two best GC riders in the same race, and Giro doesn't have Poggi, has Roglic, won't have Remco, don't know about Vingegaard yet, so Giro probably was the play for old G, but he wants to do something different. But yeah, I would send him to the Giro. Ganna will go to the Giro, Hamilton will probably go to the Giro, Sheffield maybe. Sheffield do the Giro.
Arendsman.
And Aronson will probably lead the Giro. Bernal will do the Giro. And then they need someone to sprint.
Good luck finding that, sir.
Rivera?
Question. Do you not send Laurence to the Tour de France for the first week?
Yeah, you should. You have to.
I think so too.
You have to. Like, there's Mur de Bretagne. He's won like a 2K 5% uphill finish is like that's what he won in Norway, or maybe it's 3K. Like, he's really good on those finishes. Yeah. So, yeah, I think you have to send Laurence to the Tour. So, yeah, the Tour de France will be G, Laurence, maybe Bernal does the double. I wouldn't recommend it. Ben Turner, Connor Swift, Castro, De Plus will do it.
Yeah.
Maybe Foss.
What do you do with AJ August this year? Roubaix?
Send him. I think. What is he? He's still 19.
Yeah.
Yeah. He should still do a soft schedule on the minor calendar.
Burgos.
Bartley and the smaller races. At Czech Tour he was good. He was 7th in Czech Tour. Yeah. So he needs to still do that and start getting regular podiums in those races. And then Vuelta.
I vividly remember the parcours that, not as the route, but the pathway that Carlos Rodriguez took at this team, which was year on year. He went to Burgos and we vividly saw him getting better and better year on year. And I feel like I want to see AJ August now going to Burgos, and I want to see him on Lagunas de Naya and see where he can finish on that climb next year. Because he DNF'd, I think, this year at the race. Maybe crashed, don't remember. But I want to see some progress in those 1 week races. Like you said it, he was pretty good at one week race at Czech Tour. It's a 2.1 race, so it's not a top level race. But if you can go from 7th to maybe 4th or 3rd, like if you get closer to the victories on, and also more consistent across these 1 week races, not just Czech Tour, that's what I want to see with AJ August in the coming period, personally.
Yep. If he gets a win, that's a big, just one pro win, that's a step in the right direction. The Vuelta, Carlos Rodriguez will lead the team there, and I'll try to get Laurence to do the double, but maybe he does some other races. Maybe Ganna does the Vuelta, Giro Vuelta double.
Yeah.
If there's a TT, I think there's a TTT.
Has Laurence ever done a Grand Tour?
I don't think you're allowed to do a Grand Tour on Alpecin. Yes, he did the Tour de France.
Really?
Yep.
What the fuck? I did not remember that.
He was in the breakaway on stage 2 when Kevin Vokala won.
Okay. Today I learned.
Alrighty. How many World Tour wins, Benji? I think 7 this year. Are they going to go back to their winning ways?
Ooh. 7 or 6. I don't know what it was in 2024, but I am going for... I'm not so sure, to be honest. Like, if we take a look at specifically those World Tour victories,
it's not
Narvaez, one of Ganna. You'd want Ganna to win more than one World Tour time trial next year.
Yeah.
You'd want Darling to be able to win a few World Tour time trials. So I think I'm going to go for 8, and I'm going to say half of them will be Darling.
Yeah, so you have to win the Renewy. You have to win the Renewy TT. You have to win the UAE TT unless it's a TTT. You have to win the Tirreno opening TT. So like, you just have to. You have to. What other
Luke says UAE is TTT.
UAE is TTT. That's why Poggy's doing it.
Jesus.
Mate, UAE are going to win that TTT by 15 seconds. Then he's going to take 10 bonus seconds on Jebel Jais.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't even have to attack on Jebel Hafid.
He will.
I don't know.
He will.
February's for chilling.
Not for
So yeah, I'm going to go with yeah, 6 World Tour wins again. Just the lack of sprinter is tough. Depends on the scheduling of Laurence because, yeah, the lack of sprinter really is tough. And it's not like all the GC riders, Benji, G, Bernal, Rodriguez, say De Plus, in a group of 3, they can never win. They can never win a reduced group kick or a flat or a little uphill finish like Schelmoser or somebody. So that's also the problem I see. So yeah, I'm not that bullish on the win column. I think what they're going to be looking for is development from if they need to see Sam Watson, they need to see Sheffield, and that's again the narratives. If the young guys are performing better than expected, then it makes everything look rosy. Any final thoughts on INEOS?
Do we have any hot takes for this team? I'm not sure.
I think it's most important that they make themselves look attractive to Remco and other riders. That's almost more important than whether you win 6 World Tour races or 10 or 3 or whatever. They need to make themselves attractive to Remco.
No drama. No fuck-ups.
Yep.
And
a plan.
More victories. So it looks like it's a more winning team.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which level it is at. Like, if Ghana goes to Bessèges and wins a time trial there, and a small uphill sprint against Kokar, which he failed to win a few years ago, but maybe he can turn it around now.
You ain't beating Mads Pedersen in
that's
right. That's Mads Pedersen's World Championships.
You're right. What if you send him to Poitou-Charentes?
Yes.
Laurence to Poitou-Charentes, and you just get 3 victories in a row? Get that shit going. More than 14 victories. I want to see at least 27 victories next year.
Okay. Benji needs to see at least 27 victories from INEOS Grenadiers. But yeah, I think that's important. That's what I would focus on because, yeah, winning a World Tour level is really, really hard, obviously. I hope you enjoyed the INEOS Grenadiers preview. My hot take is that they do not get Remco Evenepoel in 2026. Not sure if that's a hot take. That's my prediction. And Benji will accept it. And we'll see you in the next one. Till then, ciao.